Hello, 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 and welcome everybody. It's a rainy day here in Calgary. Just rainy, drizzly, cold day here. And as everybody will say, oh, but we need the rain. Well, yes, I guess we need the rain. It's kind of miserable. But it stopped me from doing a lot of things that I needed to do on my one day off after 8 days. So I couldn't do a lot of things today, but that's fine. Got some stuff done. So, what are we looking at today? Hello, hello. Hey, Shar. Um, I was contemplating, should I do a live or should I not do a live? That is the question. And Owen Mateus is going live, live. I'm a wee bit exhausted today. It's been a long 8 days. That's like I said, it's been a long 8 days. Um, and it's not like I get to if you work at one, how some people like, oh, I get up at 10. No, I'm still up at 6 or 7, just to get ready, get going, and get out the door so I can catch the bus. Poor me. Woo, woo, woo. Oh, Calgary Transit. Anyways, what's going on? Um, Craziness. That's what's going on. We're heading towards a equinox. And with this equinox that's coming in on the 22nd, we have Venus doing its last square to Pluto. We have a lot of the outer planets doing like sessy squares and to Pluto. But what I'm finding, what I'm find interesting, is like it's almost like all of these aspects are doing a last hurrah, hurrah, hurrah to Pluto, and of because it's never going to happen again. I mean, for Pluto to ingress back into a planet 3 times, we've never had that in our lifetime. So this is kind of like these last hurrahs. And then we have not only did we have the lunar eclipse, partial eclipse, we're coming into a solar eclipse. And with the sun, that's going to be ingressing into Libra, which is bringing in the fall equinox, or the autumn equinox, depending where you're from. So this is looking at what and what I love about equinoxes, because equinoxes to me are very powerful points. At least they are in my life. Things change. There's always a transformation, or something comes in, or something leaves within the equinox. And then there is the 6 months of what it is that you are going to create, or what is going to be happening over the next 6 months. So it is from what we have between here and spring. That's 6 months. So between the fall and the spring equinox, and the spring equinox being in Aquarius. So this is where a lot is happening below the horizon. So there's a lot of energy that's below the horizon. So there's things that are going to be where we are going to be scrambling for what are we looking for our security, because if we do Libra at the first house, right? When you do the chart, so you do it at the first house. So we have all of these, like the fourth house being underneath. And so when we look at the fourth house on what it is, what we have to look at our security. What is our security? What does our security look like? How are we connecting? Who are the people that have connected us, and how are we within our relationships at this time, which is very important, because as I explained before, with Venus being in Libra, with Eros and Juno, and and Lilith, this was where there's a lot of superficial when it comes to relationships. So people coming in and being very superficial. So there's no kind of sticking, no noodles to the wall kind of thing. There's nothing sticking and binding it and making it concrete. So when it comes to religions, or relationships, we'll get into religions in a minute. But when it comes to relationships, um, having ones that have been there, true and tried, ones that have been connected, are going to be the sustainable ones that are going to be helping you to get through the next 6 months, which are going to be very, very important, because we do have this last hurrah of Pluto in Capricorn. And Pluto in Capricorn, to me, it reminds me of sort of like, um I got The Witch in the Wardrobe, sort of the evil witch or the evil queen, even Snow White. So the evil queen is coming forth. And where with Pluto being in Capricorn, it's kind of like where people have done all of these crazy nips and to the perfections. So you saw all the crazy housewives, and where they've done their lips and their eyebrows and their boobs and taking things from one place and putting them into another. Well, it's kind of the same way when it comes to spirituality. What are the nips and tucks that you've done to create something, but it's so obscure and it has no substance? There's nothing really there. So we have this really sensationalized frequencies that are coming in, that are getting us to really look at what is the sustainability, right? And this is also where we're really at the end of Pisces, where we're really going to be entering into this age of the Aquarius. Now, when we're coming to the end of any age, whether it was the horn, when it came to Aries, the horn, or the ram, it was, the age. But you have where things can get really mucked up because people are still hanging on to the old ways. So we're having where, again, especially with Saturn being in Pisces, we've got Neptune there, people hanging on to a lot of the old ways. Well, this is the way that we've done it. This is the way that we've connected. So a lot to do with religion, a lot to, the beliefs of, Jesus and even Muhammad, because they're intertangled, because they are, where Muhammad being this prophet coming, and then we had Jesus being the savior coming. And so this entanglement, and we're going to be seeing how things are going to be untangled, but we're going to be where a lot of people are going to just be hanging on to those nips and tucks and what they want as spirituality, or even as what they want as religion, and hanging on to it and having it as their be all end all kind of feeling, which is going to cause a lot of and security. Again, we're going, and this is all coming up over, the next 6 months. This is all coming up as, between now and March. And as I said before, March 2025 is the month of huge transformation and changes, and some crazy eruptions that are going to be happening. So we're heading into places where it's like people are looking at what we are wanting to have fulfilled, what somebody else coming in to fulfill something for me, and looking at how we are wanting to control the narrative, control the way things done, where there is no control. You don't have control over, the narrative. And this is where you're going to be looking at, okay, what are the chest, what is my life, and what are the moves I have to make to allow myself to connect with my truth, to connect with how I would like to go forward, and how that reflection is upon myself, not upon others, but upon myself. And how am I allowing myself to not be manipulated by the craziness of a world going upside down, right? So things, the world is going to be definitely feeling heightened. The sort of like that freedom or that breath of fresh air doesn't really come until 2026. So we're coming into right now where we thought we were in extremes, but they're even bigger extremes. And especially with so many planets that are going to be in detriment. I mean, Venus is going to be going into Mars or Venus is going to go into Scorpio, and it's going to be in detriment. The sun's going into Libra, that's detriment. Jupiter's just in fall. Mars is in fall. So we have these ones that want to take you forward and give you that oomph are not in a placement of allowing yourself to give you that get up and go, especially with Mars in Cancer. And once Venus gets to 19 degrees, right? In Scorpio, I mean, then we have Jupiter going retrograde. So this is where a lot of changes, and Mars is slowing right down because Mars will be going retrograde near the end of the year. So we have this slowdown, this transformation that's coming in, that is getting us to really look at our own selves. And I posted it. It's like I got like, well, we got 16 days to really make sure that whatever we are wanting to solidify, whatever we are wanting to connect with and begin to create, it's like that's going to be set in stone, because after that time, we are going to find it very difficult, especially once Jupiter goes retrograde, very difficult to have the momentum to really move forward or push forward. It's going to feel very slushy and mucky and feeling where we're stuck, that stuckness. But if we are actually looking at our own truth and doing the work that we need to be doing, then, and our value system, because our value system is going to really come into play over the next 6 months, is really going to be important. How you value what you are doing, right? And this is coming into your connections, your family, the things that are important to you, and important to you as in spirit, not important to you so much as in the mundane, where Aunt Frida's glasses or china is so important to me. That's an illusion, because those things are meaningless. And I know people hate when I say that, because like, yes, Aunt Frida's china is meaningful to me. Well, in reality, when we're looking into the spiritual aspect and how the frequencies are coming in, Aunt Frida's chinas might be beautiful and loving, and there's memories that are connected to it, but in essence, it's meaningless, right? The things that those types of things that you feel that will have value. And that's where you're going to find, like, when it comes to the stock market, when we're going to be entering into, even to the recession, and really starting to feel that recession. And also where Pluto and Pluto and Saturn are, is like, we haven't gotten around the corner from 2020 to see that truth, to see what's going on. We're not really going to have that until Neptune leaves Pisces and goes into Aries. We're not going to see that relief. We're not going to see that truth, because that's when, when Neptune finally goes, which is not till next year, when he finally goes into Aries, that's really, oh, what the hell? Like, what the hell were we thinking? Kind of thing. Why did we do that? It's, why were we with that? What was going on over here? So that those awakenings really start to happen. And Aries, with Aries, it's like that spark that, it's sort of the wisdom comes in, and the connection with that of truth. So we are coming into where there's time. Now's the time to let go of whatever narrative that no longer aligns to you, because there's no Cinderella story. There's no magical prince that's coming in for anybody that's saying, oh, here, I got the glass slipper for you. That narrative is not there, and nor will it. So this is the let go. And especially as we have Venus squaring over to Pluto, this is the let go. And Venus really wants to have the glass slipper. She really wants to hang on to it. But as she heads into Scorpio, it's like, whoa, there's this like, whoa, you thought Venus and Virgo was bad. Well, Venus and Scorpio, it's not an easy trip. It's very difficult. Venus in Scorpio really gets you to really look at the truth of your values and what is superficial in your life. If your life is superficial and it's all about the nips and the tucks and how I look spiritually because I'm eating the right yoga, because your yogurt, because it has the probiotic, and I'm wearing the right clothes, and I'm doing all of this because this is all the things I need to do to be spiritual. Well, you're just gonna fall flat on your face, and that little white outfit's gonna get dirty because it's not the truth. It's not the substance of what needs the substance that you need to really go forward and head forward within your life and the connections of the truth of the real people that are there for you when you go forward. So this, and especially with the north, the nodes are going to be changing. I mean, I'm going a little ahead, but the nodes are going to be changing in January. So this solar eclipse, I mean, we just had a partial lunar eclipse, and now we're going to have the solar eclipse that's going to be coming up in Libra, is really getting us to look at the nitty-gritty of how things are reflected, how things look, how are we really allowing ourselves to step in, because as you step into the fall or the autumn is the death. It's the ending. It's when, the leaves are changing. This is when, Hathor comes out in the crossroads. This is her time of year. This is a time of allowing you to let go of any decay and decrepitness and anything that really you've been hanging on to or had a crutch with because you thought, I need to have this, I need to have it. And she's saying, no, you don't. No, you don't. You need to let it go. You need to let that go, and whatever that looks like, whatever, those parts of ourselves, because there's a piece of renewal and rebirthing that's coming in. And with that rebirthing, it's really allowing ourselves to coming out of the darkness, or getting us working on coming out of the darkness till in 2026. But for a lot of people, I mean, especially with Pluto being in Capricorn. And when we started Pluto in Capricorn in 2008 with a housing crisis, right? And this housing crisis was, bad loans and things. And now we're ending it where nobody really wants to go into a house, right? They can't afford it. You sell your house, but then what do you do? Like, you might get a really, really good price for it, but are you able to buy another? Like, and with the mortgage payments and everything else. So we're coming, it's sort of like we're ending Pluto Capricorn just as crazy as what it began, and how we're going to step into that connections, those communities, and allowing ourselves to coming forth into into a rebirthing. So it's kind of crazy. What else did I write? It's just like I just like going through the notes here. Yeah, a big turn in the next year and a half. I can definitely see, feel that. But March 2025 is really the where there's some things that are going to go down, some craziness that's really going to go down and pulling us back, because with Saturn retrograde, Pluto retrograde, we're not around the corner. We're not around the corner from 2020. So that's why you're finding a lot of things coming up from 2020, or the things that they were talking about in 2020. So we're not around that corner. And for many, it's they don't want to see around the corner. They don't want to deal with what's around the corner, because it means a change in the way that they live, and what they have to do. Um, with the stock market, thinking certain things are a surety, and they're not going to be. You just have to know how to work it. You have to know how to sell things. So it is with this solar eclipse. Yeah, it's in the fall position, but it's allowing ourselves. I feel it's this spiritual reconnection that is desperately needed for all of us. And I mean, feeling that, because we're seeing it too, where a lot of people are like, you know, going back to Jesus moments. We're seeing a lot of people going back to the church, the movements of going back into the church, and that's going to be real messy. Things are just going to get messy with that. But the thing is that you feel that that's the truth, right? It's like you feel like that's my truth. That's I know this is the right way. It just feels right. But there will be this part, that'll come in and say, "Oh no, this isn't the right way. This isn't what I was expecting, or this isn't the alignment that I truly needed." So, yeah, it is crazy. And we're seeing, I mean, a lot more when it comes to things, that are happening in the Middle East and in Europe and in other parts. I mean, the craziness that's happening in our parliament, which I think is hilarious. Um, but as I said, everybody's thinking, oh, there's going to be that non-confidence. It's like, don't bet on things. Don't bet. You think it's going to be a surety? You think it's going to be an absolute? It's not. It's not. You know, um, I mean, the government's going to do what it needs to do to continue on, whether it's to print more money to keep it going, both in the United States and Canada, well, all Western countries. They're wanting to prop themselves up and continue on, and it's they're going to do what they can, especially between now and January, to keep things going, to keep things really propped up, and where the cloth starts to unravel. I mean, it's there are little things that are starting, but the real unraveling we're not really going to fully see until, I'm going to say, as we're going into November, December, and January. Then some crazy unraveling of the government, crazy unraveling when it comes to different situations, higher unemployment, harder for people to find jobs, more layoffs, companies that, some new startup companies that thought they could continue on won't be continuing on. I feel like those who are doing markets and that, a lot of markets are just going to go belly up because so many people are competing to be in the markets, and a lot of, especially when it comes to different, whether it's the religious group. And I'm going to throw this out, and I know a lot of people are just like probably not going to like what I'm going to say. What else is new, Mary? But I think a lot when it comes to the different witchy groups or the pagan groups are where they say, well, we're not religious. I'm going to say, but they're so stuck in certain dogma on how things need to be done and how things need to be said and who can do what and who can do what. It comes into that occultish religion, right? And wanting to make sure that everybody is on their point of view. So that's going to be a big one that's going to come out within, that type of community as well. So people aren't going to like that too much. But it's where I feel too, and Andrea and I were talking about it, and she was just so right when she said this. So many fling to the witchy groups or to the pagan groups or whatever, but they fling to it so that they can stay in their darkness, so they could hide away. And that's the other part of the exposure. So there's going to be a lot to do with people being exposed of, okay, you're hanging on here, but why are you hanging on here? You got to start taking some ownership and looking at what is it, I desire to have a car, right? It's not that yeah, I want, but that want is becoming a desire. Right? The want is becoming a desire, because if you just this is allowing yourself to really step into those parts of oneself and allowing that to shine through, you know in many different aspects of you, right? So hoping I'm making sense with all of this. I feel yes, there's going to be a lot of confusion. Yes, there's going to be a lot of upset. And, uh, but when it comes down to it, you got to step into your love, into your laughter, into what it is that you want to do, and keeping that, in a very truthful, moral way. Because I feel like if you wanting to cling to darkness, or if you want to going to hide away, that's not going to help you any. It's just going to take you down more into the darkness. And there's one girl that we work with. Anyways, uh, it's it's where she's so gifted and talented, but for her to step into, there's a fear. There's a fear of stepping into a lot of your gifts. There's a fear of stepping into, of because it's the old mindset that's still there that we've been trying to step out of. But that freedom of expression, the freedom of allowing yourself to say, yeah, this is what I truly want to step into. This is what I truly want to do that, right? And stepping out into that presence, into that light, right? I was just I know Odin, I think because I was just watching a thing on Odin. But Odin giving up his eye to have more wisdom, right? Um, hanging, being he's the hangman, right? Odin's the hangman. To gather the wisdom, he hung there for 90 days to allow us and to get the downloads of the ruins so that we would be able to have the ruins to help us, to guide us through our future, right? So it's stepping in and allowing, and sometimes we don't want to do. I'm not saying that everybody to go to be Odin and take your eye out and hang on a cross for 90 days, but it's stepping in to do those transformations that you have to do for yourself, right? And in doing that is part of the ownership. It's not where it's easy to go to church. It really is. I mean, it's easy to go to church, to fall into line, to do those things so that you can be connected within a community because everybody else is falling into line too. But to step out, and that's part of the age of Aquarius, is stepping out and becoming that uniqueness of who you are, owning it, right? And that's a big one because Aquarius isn't a Leo. Leo just don't give a fuck, right? They're all egotistical. No offense to my Leos, but there's an egotistical part to Leos where they're like, "Here, I don't give a fuck. Look at me. I'm wearing this." Where, Aquariuses are like, "Yeah, I'm wearing this. Do you, and it's how to put, they care, they don't care, but they do care, how people are perceiving them or seeing them, right? How they're connecting with their community, how they're connecting with others is so important for them because they are that humanitarian. They are the connections to your groups, to the people that you want to be with, right? And allowing yourself to be able to go with them, yet allowing yourself to be the individual within that, and being that uniqueness of individuality is important with it all, as you are within the connection of groups, right? And when Pluto was in Leo was after World War II, and seeing that connection, seeing how people were like, look at me, that's living up to the Joneses. This is where people were like, oh, I need to have a picket fence, I need to have a dog, and I need to have like 2.5 children and a car. And it was like, look at me, it was that Leo energy of coming out, of building. Oh, look at the house I have. Where Aquariuses aren't so much of look at the house I have. It's about allowing myself to step into so that I can flow within the differences of people, and having that intellectual connection, having that type of stimulation, because it's air, it's not fire, it's fixed air. And having the fixed air is allowing myself to think of things, to analyze things, to allow for um, my way of connection with others, be more of an intellectual. So we're coming into that air energy where, here it is, it's got to be a heart energy, coming from the heart. So it's coming into a different formation of what it is and how we are going to be seen and how we want to be seen in our truth, and allowing that truth to come through. And on average, Aquariuses have more tattoos on average than any other sign. They are the sign of perfectionism. There's more sports um, uh, people in the Hall of Fame when it comes to like basketball, football, and things like that, or even soccer, and that there's more Aquariuses because they have a perfectionism about them. So there's a perfectionism in how we are doing things, how we are connecting, how I am, right? It's like, yes, I got tattoos, but they're going to be nice tattoos. They're not going to be some dumbass, stupid tattoos. They're going to be something of connection, something that is truthful within them. So it's interesting. And plus, the ninth, being the 11th house, right? The 11th house is about the connection. It's about the community, humanitarians. And now you got the extreme of people being the extremes of humanitarians. We saw that with Pluto going into Aquarius, where people go and they're not really thinking, they're not analyzing, they're not looking at the options. They're just getting, and they're just, yeah, this is it. And they're cutting off all the cords. That's not what Aquarius does. Aquarius doesn't cut off all the cords. They're very analytical on what they are wanting to do and how they're going to do it. And they're very methodical. Like, okay, if I'm going to do this, this is, the other part. If I'm going to do this, that means I am going to allow myself to look at the things, because it comes into that Uranus, but then I might give you an unexpected surprise on the direction I want to go into. So it doesn't mean I'm going to go along with the crowd. That means I'm going to step out and be my uniqueness and my individuality as we're giving up all of the structures from Pluto and Capricorn, the structures that we've built. And some of the structures that we built, people are trying to hang on to them because we've had them. But then we had, this is where, like, when it came to the Civil War, and near the end of the Civil War, when with Pluto being in, of course, when it came to of the Confederate money, it was worthless, right? It might have had dollar amount on it or whatever, but it was really worthless. It wasn't worth anything. And the Confederate, government at that time, or their Congress that they were trying to set up, had no money, had no backing, right? So that's the other piece too, is that we're going to see things that you thought were sure bets, that you thought were just a surety, are not going to be, like Bitcoin. Oh, this is going to be the best thing ever, and you're just saying, because they're throwing it in, this is going to be the security. But the true security is your connection with your divine. The true security is your connection with oneself, and what is that formation you're creating for you and the people you want to be with. So hope that made sense. Oh, craziness. If you are wanting to get in on moon readings, definitely get a hold of me, because the next moon reading is going to be within the next 13 days. And it'll be for the new moon solar eclipse in Libra. Libra's feisty too. Libra is the one, everybody thinks Libras are nice, but they're not. Oh, they are nice, but they can be right assholes. Like, Libras can be right assholes. Just saying. So it's like that double-edged sword when you're dealing, because they hold the sword. They're the justice card. So the thing is that you could find where Libras could flip on you if they're angry at you, if they're mad, or if there's something going on that doesn't align to their truth. So when we have this Libra coming in and it's the South Node, hanging on to old ways, old thoughts of how they would like things done, but it's not going the way that they would like it to go. So it might cause it might cause havoc, so Libras can cause havoc very easily, because they're not getting their way. They're not getting what it is that they want. And with Libra leaving there, because Libra is very much, she rules it. She wants it to have her way. She wants to have it her way. But when she goes into Scorpio, fuck that, girl. You're not going to get it your way. I have a Venus at 28 degrees in my sign, and it's in Leo, but she's in the she's gone into the 6th house. So that means she's gone into Virgo house, and the Virgo house is that of service, like looking that of service, and of how am I being of service? How am I taking care of myself? How am I taking care of myself with love and respect to how what I want to create, along with the boundaries that I have to be making up within the Scorpio, day. Happy day off day. Who? The landlord's here? Okay, close that door. Get the dog.
Roxy.
And tell Papa. Well, I'm on my live, Steve. Tell Papa I'm on my live.
The Papa said to shut the door in the room so the dogs.
I know, but tell him I'm on my live so that when the guy comes, can't really answer the door.
Papa said let the landlord in. It's fine.
He's looking at our drains. That's what he's doing. So, yes, I have a day off, my first day off in 8 days. Nice. And I had physio this morning. I have 2 more physios, and then I go down to once a week, and then I got to get into I got my massages happening. It's 1:00. They only go half day. So that's why. So that's why he's here. And getting caught up in the past. Whoa, 6 of Cups. You don't want to get caught up in the past. You don't want to get caught up in like, oh, this was so wonderful then. I mean, that's part of this, coming forth, where people are going to get caught up in the past. Caught up in but this was so great. This is how we used to do it. This is how we need to do it. And it looks so wonderful. And they can get really hung up on all of that, right? And you're waiting for your kiddo outside of school. Yeah. No, he gets out at noon on Fridays. They only go half days. So it's, how are you getting caught up with things? That's why we're seeing, things to do with the government, or we're seeing things to do with schools or hospitals. I mean, right now our premier's talking about privatization of schools, right? Because it's easier to build them, and he's getting so much money and everything else. And it's like, okay, wanting to build all of this stuff and get it going. Yet there's, this is where it's like finding out. And I get like, when I think of that, I think of how things used to be, not that I lived then, but way back when, where privatization was school. Like schools were all privatized, where you had to have money, you had to pay to go to school, and then it changed. And now we're having where we want to, have things privatized, have things, doctors privatization. It's going to be easier. It's going to be easier. In some sense, yeah, but it's not going to be easy if you don't have money to spend the $10,000 to get your an operation on your eye, or you need that pacemaker, you need whatever it is that that's happening. They will, look at that, and that could cause that just cause, whatever issues. But I don't want to go down a rabbit hole with that. So then, yeah, so we have the lover card reversed. So the connections that we think that we're making are not necessarily the connections that are true. The ones, because we keep going to the past, we keep going back to, oh, well, this is the best. Oh, he's all handsome or she's all cutie patootie. We're going back to something that we thought was the best thing, right? And especially when it comes to relationships, when it comes to our connections. So this is, again, we're having to come back into that truth of who we are and what we need to do. And with it, we've got to take some time to get the clarity. We're not going to get it. We got to really trust our gut with how we are doing the things that we need to do. We're not going to get all the information that we need. 1 second. Hi.
Oh, hi there.
Yeah. Come on in.
Okay. I changed that bulb.
Oh, I was wondering why you were brighter.
I'll leave you the over if it's too bright. Because that one was kind of just.
Oh, okay.
If you find it's too bright. then
All right.
that's the end
Perfect.
of the word. But just go have a look at that.
Okay, yeah, go for it. So there we go. So hang on. Where's the dog?
And the boots.
Oh, that Papa has the dog. Okay, that's good. She doesn't like anybody coming into the house, so now she's gonna bark. But anyways, so that Queen of Swords. So the Queen of Swords is really coming into intuition and looking at that intuition. So it's impatience, aggressive, insensitivity, fearing the views of others who can see through the negativity. And that's very much how things are going to be feeling, especially over not only this weekend, but as we're heading into the next 6 months. There's going to be a fear of, wanting to be ambitious and stubborn, right? And do you need help? Oh no, our landlord's here. He's just checking him out. And someone dependent on others, yet indifferent to the outside opinions. So there's a lack of self-confidence in communicating. And that can really, when we're hanging on to the past and hanging on to the way we think things should be and how we want them to be, can bring in a lot of emotions, a lot of insensitivity, and people just really freaking out over things, right? So got to be grounded, got to be focused, have your connections, have your peeps. It's going to be important. And if you're wanting a more in-depth reading, you're wanting to go over your natal chart, definitely get a hold of me and we can set up some appointments on that and go forward with everything. So yeah. So anyways, you guys all have a great day. Stay warm, stay dry. It's really rainy here. Tomorrow's supposed to be beautiful, of course. And then I have Saturday and then I have Sunday, Monday off. So take care, everybody. And may the Lord and Lady watch over and bless each and every one of you and all you say and all you be and all you do. Love you all. And we'll see. Maybe I'm going to have if people have questions, I get like sometimes if you have questions and stuff, let me know because I can do a little live tonight and we can do a happy hour or something like that if people want to do a happy hour this evening. And if you have any questions or concerns and stuff, let me know and we can do that because I know that things are intense and I know things are getting a little cray right now. So just let me know and we can do that. All right. So have a blessed one, everybody. Bye-bye. Love you all. Got to play my music though. Charlene. Yeah.